Welcome to the Outer Realm with Michelle DeRoche and Amelia Pisano. Airing live on the United Public Radio Network, 105.3 FM in New Orleans.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Wednesday night segment of The Outer Realm. We are broadcasting live on the United Public Radio Network, UFO Paranormal Radio Network, and 105.3 FM from New Orleans. We are fully sponsored by the amazing people over at Folgers Coffee, who have been a part of our journey since day one. So we're very grateful and appreciative for you. Thank you, Folgers. Also very appreciative and grateful for our other sponsor, Dr. Snick, aka Justin Snicker, the Sonic Surgeon, who is responsible for our intro and our outro. Check him out. He's an award-winning composer of Halloween, horror, sci-fi, and dark wave electronic music. This is the season for Dr. Snick, so check him out. Also, big thank you, Steve McGinnis, who is responsible for our amazing artwork. So thank you, thank you. Now, tonight we're going to have another Q&A, and it's spooky month. So, we definitely want to be getting into some fun stuff, gearing up for the season. So we're just going to all, hang out and do what we do best, which is have discussions, share ideas, answer questions, because I've had some questions sent over, so I want to address them. It's just so much easier for me to do it here than it is for me to try to get through emails and such. So we are already chiming in. So guys, to get in any of our 8 chat rooms, I guess you need to know where they are. Of course, we have our regular chats, which is the Outer Realm on YouTube, UFO Paranormal Radio on YouTube, UFO Gods and Extraterrestrials on YouTube. Then we just pop over to Facebook, News on the Flip Side, Canada's Most Haunted, UFO Paranormal Radio Network, and United Public Radio Network, Joe Montallo, UFO Undercover, and of course the Outer Realms. Yeah. And people are chiming in. Oh, hey, Wes, Ken, Samantha, Tamara, Tyler, Wayne, Rosalind. Holy crud.
Blowing kisses here. Yeah.
There we go. So, Bubbles, how's it going?
Other than the sore throat, good. How are you?
I don't know. I think I'm coughing up a fur ball because I had latte earlier.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, it's great.
Michelle's lactose intolerant.
I think maybe.
Yeah. She pretty much gives away when she's eating pizza or has had a frappuccino.
Cave. I just refuse to give it up. There's no way. No. Life's little friggin' pleasures, man. I'm not giving them up that easily.
No, I know.
Pizza and lattes.
Oh, I can't give up pizza. Good Lord.
I know, but that's okay. That's the way it goes, Yeah. So,
hello, Tamara.
So there's this thing we posted up on the CMH pages, which essentially is about a mom in Texas who was going after, well, maybe people have to just tell the pizza places that, because I don't know if they've got it or not.
You can buy lactose-free cheese. It is so gross. I sell it
in my stuff. Yeah, so I don't know.
You're better off just eating a little bit of the real stuff. But anyways,
exactly. Stuff it for it's worth it. Yeah. A mom in Texas had watched the new. Oh heck, what is it? I'm thinking, Bubbles. You have half my brain tonight.
The new Hocus Pocus 2.
And she basically is making headlines. As she's saying, she's a person of faith, and I respect that. And she feels that watching this, because they're trying to, conjure up things to sacrifice babies and blood and stuff like this. And it's just like, oh boy, this is actually making the headlines.
Of course it is.
So people have been chiming in. To each his own, I say. I don't necessarily think that, watching a movie of that sort, because it's a pretty comedic thing, and I get the theme, and
Oh,
I
it
could
was
see
so
why
childish too.
a lot of people of faith would kind of say, "Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, no, we don't want our family seeing that." And I understand you don't want your children or your family seeing that, but I don't think it's calling the devil into your house. Now, my question is for everybody to chime in, and Bubbles and I will give our, our 2 cents worth. Do you think there are films out there that could, if you're watching it, that could invite something into your home? Because, I'm a big advocate of mindset.
Yep.
So I think if anything for me, that would have something to do with the mindset and how you perceive it and, project out that type of energy. So what do you guys think? You're all in there. Hey, Bradley. Hey, Jess. So I don't know, Mike. So what do you guys think? Just chime in right into chat and we'll look at it. But I don't know, Bubbles, what do you think?
Well, when you brought this topic to me, I was so happy because I did have to endure the 2.5 hours of my life I'll never get back. But I did watch it with my daughter because we watched the first one many years ago, like a lot of moms do with their kids and dads do with their kids. And oh boy. If you Google search this topic, you will get a list of films that do affect the mindset. And Michelle and I agree on that point that about the mindset. If you're going to believe in something, just as you believe that something will protect you, something will hurt you. It's yin and yang. It always was. Oh,
Hello, Sav.
hello,
Speaking
Minnie.
of the mini.
She actually showed up. Hi, Savvy.
But, here's this Bubbles mini.
Yeah, that's my mini.
There we go.
So you're never on the show.
Hey, Dana.
Yeah. So I really do believe that if you believe it's going to hurt you, it's going to harm you. There was a big story when The Exorcist came out on how that it would be reaching out to the audience, and it was a way of collecting followers for the devil. So I really honestly believe it all comes down to, like you said, mindset, how you feel about it, what you think about it. I personally watched the film and feel that it was age appropriate for, and I'm going to get hate mail, send it to Joe Montaldo at UPRN. I personally thought it was geared towards much younger audience. It was very silly and Lilo and Stitch like. There was a lot of, caricature and silliness, and I didn't see what she saw, but then again, I'm not her, and I don't have her belief system. I am Christian. I was raised Catholic, but I don't believe Hamilton. I don't believe that. I don't believe the way she believes. That's all I can say. Hamilton. I can think of a few TV shows that remove your brain.
Make you
brains and nails
sure.
and nails from the earth.
I feel that mindset is a big thing. Let's just explore tulpas.
Hi, Chris, my nephew. My whole family's here. Sorry, Michelle.
It's a party now. Family get together.
It was Sunday.
Let's just take the example of a tulpa. So Slender Man is a tulpa. This is something that was created online. And people would chime in, and over time, they gave it a personality. They gave it characteristics. Next thing you know, there were sightings of this thing. It's almost like it was mass manifested, and it became a thing. It became a phenomenon, and people actually fear this thing. This was created through mindset and projection. I feel personally that there are shows out there. If you believe it, you can manifest it. It's like the theory of being able to manifest your own reality. Sometimes you get films, and I'm going to use this one here from Wayne as an example, if you want to catch up, Bubbles.
The film that scared the crap out of me.
I hated this show.
Yeah, I watched it 100 times. I'm just afraid of it. I feel like it's real. I feel like it's not. People are saying it's not real, but the fourth kind, if you haven't seen it, it's sci-fi. Wainwright's The Fourth Kind. I watched that, and then for days after, there were things going on at the house, right?
Well, I'll tell you why I believe that that theory rings true. Now, allegedly, this movie was made with recordings, EVPs, okay, not necessarily extraterrestrial. Because when I heard, I'm like, I got like about 300 hours of this stuff, man. What is this?
Yeah.
I think they took EVPs from, researchers, maybe they're spirit EVPs, alleged demonic, the fine line between the demonic and certain types of extraterrestrials. So if that's the case, then, do we feel EVPs can do damage? Yeah, because even when we're listening to these things, there's a really strict belief that we should listen to them with headphones. You don't want them bleeding out into the atmosphere because it could cause something. But do you remember that one where I'm pretty sure I played it for you, where it was in Aramaic?
Yeah,
and it was
we've
this
gone through
growly
quite a
thing.
few recordings together.
Oh, yeah, this thing was growling and speaking
Hissing.
in Aramaic.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, oh, it sounds really big. But anyway, you look at it.
They're deep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think something like that bleeding out into the atmosphere could definitely affect one's mindset.
We have
This was good too.
clients that's happened to. Guiding Echoes, who is a co-host here, on our network.
Yes.
Nicole
Guiding
Antoinette, she says, I think so too. After I saw the movie Woman in Black, I kept seeing her everywhere for almost a month. It was really scary.
So it's like she's stuck in your head, right? Do you think she was stuck in your head, Nicole? Is that what it is? Or do you really feel it was manifesting somehow?
Yeah, for me, it was the documentary for Haunting in Connecticut. Hi, Loretta. My sister's in the house.
Hello. And yes, Tyler, exactly. It was
Slenderman is a
created.
YouTube. Yes.
It was a
not
gaming
true
website
monster.
initially, apparently.
He was created by some university students in tech. And what the scary thing and the saddest thing with Slenderman is that there was an attempted murder on another child by her friend. We're talking very, very young, where she somehow was convinced that this Slenderman was speaking to her and she was searching him out on the computer. Now you have to remember, this is someone who's not mentally stable. So when they bring this in, Philip experiment. Yes, Wes. When they bring the Lisa.
This is what I was going to say before Wes came in. The Philip experiment, the school experiment, a manifestation. Yeah. You guys should Google this stuff if you're not familiar with it. It is fascinating because these people manifested things and objects to appear and disappear. It's fascinating. There's just too much to explain, and there's not enough time to do it. But the Philip experiment, segment. There we go, Philip experiment. And happy birthday, Lisa.
Happy birthday, Lisa. If you look at when The Exorcist came out, okay, or Rosemary's Baby, I mean, that's my sister Loretta's time. She said it was like the scariest film ever. And they thought things were coming for them and that this is happening, which we know when we study this stuff, that kind of stuff is happening. There is sacrifice. There is impregnation and cults and things like that to gain power and to create this ultimate leader and everything. That stuff is all real. But when you look at when The Exorcist came out, Ouija boards, talking boards made a reappearance in society.
It did.
And wreaked havoc. Then years later, we had the actual film Ouija. Now, I can tell you at the time when I was working with Cindy Summer, I can't tell you how many people we were contacted by after their kids saw the film and went home and started playing this and all the stuff that was going on. It was absolutely insane to the point where this woman, and I'm not revealing any confidentiality because this is common. This woman actually tried to burn it, and because it didn't burn, she thought they were doomed. But Ouija boards don't burn. Not all of them burn because of what they're made out of.
Too, is it was promoted I know
Yes.
because I did a thing for Much Music here in Canada on that
Mhm.
film where we were taken to investigate and talk about it. It was a really big thing.
Yeah.
And I mean, gosh, we did that a few years ago, like literally as it was being released.
Yep.
And um I couldn't believe how they sensationalized it. It was supposed to be this big thing. And even at the time, when I did this event, or it was a TV show, or just again for Much Music, it was a clip, but it was like I'm like I don't like to promote things like that, but they did it in a way where it's like, oh, okay, it
Mhm.
wasn't catered to children. It wasn't a kids movie. But the problem, like you say, Amelia, is all the adults got bored with this thing. And I was just
Yes.
like, what are
Yeah.
you
Well, because
doing?
anything that creates fear or
Mm,
mystery is intriguing, and
sure.
I understand that. Why do they say the most secrets are seductive?
Right.
I understand that completely, and I get it, and I think it fell into the right hands with you because you could explain to people that that's not the only form of communication. You don't need a tool to do that. That these results
Mm,
and the dangers are just as prominent without using a Ouija board, just by
every tool you
communicating.
need comes in your handy dandy phone.
Yeah, and I think when paranormal shows
You
became
know?
a big thing on TV, that started even more. And if you talk to people who watch paranormal shows, who might exhibit some fear as a result of watching too many of them or getting into them and trying to understand and
Yeah.
not doing research beforehand. You really have to do a lot of reading to understand. And remember, it's entertainment. Remember, it is entertainment.
That's the big thing.
Yeah.
It is entertainment. Um, No, I
No,
wasn't
it
with
wasn't
Ed
at
the
the
Sock.
soccer.
I was actually with,
I
like,
think
a
he's thinking
team, an
that
assembled team, and we were at the, Winter Garden Theater, Elgin Theater, which is always an honor. I've always been asked to do film there, and it's just an amazing place.
I
But,
think Wes
no, Ed the
is
Sock.
referring to what's that YouTube show and Kenny there. I think
Oh,
that's what
Kenny
he's
versus
thinking.
Benny.
Yeah.
Yes, actually, I did do an episode with a colleague on Kenny versus Benny, and it was very funny because when they contacted me and asked me if I would do it, I'd never heard of it. I'm like, "What is that? Is that a kid show? What is it?"
I
Because
didn't yeah,
because
I didn't know
the
till
the
you told me.
kids the kids YTV Kids would often bring me on to do things because I loved working with kids and I
Yeah.
loved doing things that were catered to kids because I knew how to do things in a safe manner. So it was always a lot of fun. And they laughed and they went, no, no, it's not really a kid show. So when I did the show and when I watched everything that was going on, and we were in an extremely haunted location, it was just so much fun. But here, my mom was going to watch it. And I watched it. I'm like, do not watch the show. Anybody who's seen Kenny versus Penny, you don't want your mom watching it. If
I've
you're
never
honest, you
seen it. I
just
have to
really
find
don't,
it.
But
Yeah.
they were great guys. It was a lot of
I
fun.
heard they're
But
hilarious.
oh, they are. But
Yeah.
there was a couple of scenes that I was, when I saw it, I went,
No, 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 no.
no, do not,
Hard no.
don't watch that. But just fast forward through that part. But it was a lot of fun. A lot of times you can have a lot of fun with it. But it is exactly what Amelia says, entertainment. So you have to take it all with a grain of salt. And unfortunately, this is the time of year also where you have a lot of extra shows that come on
Mm,
TV. You've got like the 30
yep.
days of Halloween on Sci-Fi. That's always fun.
Yeah.
But a lot of, the paranormal shows will come out and have their own features that they do. And you'll see a lot of radio shows and they have their own features. It is spooky month. It's the time of year that it gears up towards Halloween. And there's a lot of people who watch these shows, and I can't even blame it all on the kids. Sometimes the
No.
adults are worse because they're fiercely into it, which I think is great. It's a fun time of year. And we'll have to try to squeeze in a
It's
time, where we can talk about all the folklore and everything between,
yeah,
about Halloween, because blow your minds. Like Joe and I on the Gray Zone Uncensored did two separate Halloween segments just on a lot of the ancient beliefs and a lot of
mhm.
the cultural stuff around the world. It's awesome stuff. But, you know, people take this stuff pretty seriously. And I find at any age, people emulate. And we end up getting a lot of calls after the month. Well, we get a lot of calls anyway. I mean, I've always had a lot of calls. But something about this month that people just seem to lose their minds and go, it's
Well, it's like
everything's haunted.
Christmas for the
Oh,
paranormal. It's a build up to the day, and you
is.
have to
It
remember
is.
with Halloween.
Yeah.
For those of you listening, if you don't participate, you don't realize how important this day is to many in the field. And some believe the veil is thinner that day. Michelle and I have a different view on things, but there's a big celebration in Salem for all the witches that were hung, and they weren't witches. Let me correct that.
Mm,
All the
the victims
accused.
accused. Yeah.
And it becomes for me, Salem reminds me of Mardi Gras in New Orleans at Halloween.
Mm,
Not the craziness, but the costumes, the fans that go in there. They're booking their rooms 2-3 years in advance.
mhm.
It's quite Halloween is the best time of year. Yes,
It
I think
is.
I'm the only one in the paranormal that loves Christmas. But
Halloween is Christmas for
I
a lot of
know, I know.
people,
For me,
but
Christmas is Christmas, but
for
yeah,
some of us, man, it's just a lifestyle.
yes,
Halloween
like,
really is just a lifestyle. I mean, you could come into this house at any given time and
well,
see
you
things that are
can't,
just
but
like, yeah, you can't really, but
you
I'm
can't.
just
Michelle's
saying,
got enough problems with that.
we
But yeah,
we have a lot of people who actually try to just, we've found people like this into the windows, and like I'm like just smacking out the front door and go, "What are you doing?"
you had one walk in right off the bus, off the tour bus,
No, there's
thinking
some
they could
guy who just
just,
wandered in when we was sitting out in the
yeah,
front, and he goes, "What are you doing?" Because I'm just going in and check it out. He goes, "No,
it's
it's my
my
house." And
house.
he goes, "Oh, it's not like a film set?" No, man.
No, it's my
We
house,
actually
dude.
live here.
But
Tour buses and people coming around, but the house is quite unique. It's funny because there's new countertops going in, and the people who came in and did all the measuring were just like,
yeah, it's a little bit weird.
like,
I
"Oh
always
my
laugh.
god, this place is amazing." I will show pictures when I'm not living here anymore. I will
Yeah.
post pictures of the interior of the house,
There you go.
um,
For all of you who's
for
been
all of
trying
you
to
guys.
sneak into Michelle's house through me. Um, she'll share those pictures with you. Stop asking me.
Uh-oh. Yeah, it's a very
Uh,
unique house, and I'll be going
yeah.
to another very unique house, but a part of it, is the allure. People see houses like this and automatically make an assumption that it's haunted. It is.
Well, actually, yeah. They're
Right.
they're not they're not assuming it. It
Okay,
actually is, right?
it's I
Sorry,
have
I
a
can't hear. Yeah,
there's a lot of
lost
mediums
my
through the
bud.
years that would just send me messages and start talking to me about, the entourage in the house. I'd be like, "Yeah, I know." But point I'm trying to make is not all houses that look like this are haunted. It's like not all cemeteries are haunted. It's like, just because it looks like it should be haunted,
Yeah,
it doesn't mean that it is. And it
it's not
doesn't
a
mean
place they want to hang around either. I don't think people
no.
realize that.
And if a place is abandoned, it doesn't mean it's haunted. Don't go
No,
breaking
but
into
chances
something,
are it's decrepit.
We had people in the city of Toronto, here in Canada, people in the city of Toronto were investigating. There were a couple, and they died going someplace where they should not have gone.
Yeah.
So, it's just because something looks like there is activity, it does not mean that there's activity. I have
Yeah.
investigated houses that, I mean, one of the most haunted places that I investigated was just a townhouse, just like a semi-attached townhome. And I got some of the best recordings in there. I mean, I got phantom sounds, which is like, I mean, you're getting chains they sounded on the recording like they're being dragged across a hardwood floor, but it was a carpet. where those sounds were captured. People walking around on old hardwood floors, yet it was concrete basement. You're in a furnace room, somebody's picking up the recorder, touching it, handling it. It's just like and the stuff that went on in that place was unbelievable. And yet, it was just, you looked at it from the road, you would never know the amount of activity that was going on in there, and the stuff that the family had to endure. You
It's
had
sad.
the baby being thrown out of her crib every night. I mean, just tiny little baby.
Yeah, it's sad.
You had children like from the ages of 4 and down, 3 children. They were just tormented, but you would not know it to look at this place. So looks can really be deceiving both ways.
Yeah, because it's not necessarily the house as it is the property. The house can be torn down, and then you still have, I mean, I understand that, but I've never really gone on an investigation. I mean, other than whatever I did those few houses with you, but um, it's always found me. So you don't always have to look for it. Sometimes, I mean, I've had things happen in restaurants that I've been at that are very, very old, and there's a lot of history to the property, and things just happened. So it's not always that you have to, like Michelle said, don't go into an abandoned property. First of all, you could be arrested for trespassing. Second of all, you can end up like hurting yourself or passing. And if you're alone, that's even, sorry, dumber, because you don't have anybody that knows that you're there or can, get to you if you fall through a floorboard.
That's a big one too.
Yeah.
Safety, right?
Yeah, it's huge. You need to see these places during the day before you go investigate at night, so you know where you're walking. A flashlight isn't enough in an abandoned building that could have all
I've done
kinds of
abandoned buildings
rot.
with permissions.
Yes, but I
And
mean,
it's
it's
hard.
best
It's
to,
not
if
as
you
easy
don't
as it looks.
no, if you don't have any experience, it's best to always go during the day and get the feel of the layout. See if there's floorboards, see if there's openings. They don't need to rail anything off if you're walking into a property without permission. They're not
No,
liable.
and even then, when we had done, this was one of the shows that, or the stories that were featured on one of the Haunted Case Files. And it was an island, I'll just say cottage country, I don't want to give it away. And this was an old lodge. It was colossal, it was beautiful. But if we wouldn't have walked around it during the day, which goes to prove Amelia's point, if we wouldn't have walked around it during the day, at both ends on the second floor, the floors were caved in, like these huge holes, and all the boards were hanging. And this was a really old building and was very, very haunted. But the whole island was haunted. So you need to get your bearings. It's the same thing when we went to the haunted forest of Romania. I purposely went there during the day to get my bearings, just to see what to expect and get a feel for the place.
Well, you can't see those holes in the dark. I mean, people have fallen into their own pools at parties that they're in their backyards at night, and they know the pool is there. And they're not even drunk. So think about it. You have to be very, very careful. This is unfamiliar territory. What is Hamilton saying? I'm not going to say anything bad about him because he's sending me treats. The spirits in my house, lots of them, get so freaked out by my behavior that they don't cause problems. Objects can be equally haunted, possessed.
Yeah, it's true. I've got some.
Yes.
I've got
As
haunted
buildings.
objects.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah,
Thank you for
absolutely.
staying awake for us, Hamilton.
Yeah, it's nice. Hamilton's in the UK. He's being a real champion tonight, which is fantastic.
Yeah. Can you do that when we have you back on?
Richard will make him. Hello, Caroline.
Hi. Yes. It's scary for me.
The haunt I'm working is very haunted. Where's your haunt? If you don't mind. See, that's something else. Haunts, which are haunted attractions. For those who don't know, we used to work those haunted attractions. So those can be fun. Just saying.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll continue on now. So go ahead. Sorry. I
I
just had
wasn't
it up. I
saying
wanted to
anything.
finish it.
I finished.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Okay. There you go, guys. There's a
Oh,
plug. Go
Mare
check them
Island,
out. Go check them
Vallejo,
out. Yeah.
California. Okay.
Go check
California
them
or
out.
Carolina? California, right?
Yes.
Vallejo, yeah.
So, but it just goes to show there's a lot of places that are opening up their doors right now because they will have the attraction going through the entire month of October. So, what do
Mhm.
you do? You have an interest, you want to go check some of these places out, you don't have any experience. Well, there's the right way, there's the wrong way. Um, I know because I used to do tours, I used to do special events. And there are people out there who they may not do it any time of year, but they will do it in October. I
Yep.
think some of these places are just tours, like ghost tours or ghost walks or special events where you get to have one night only, 1 month only, going through haunted locations, and you get to investigate them.
Yep.
Now, with that being said, what I used to try to do is educate people while they're there. I think it's great that people connect up with other people of like mind so they can go on, go to these locations. Everybody's of the same mindset. Everybody's researching or helping one another, being educated, hopefully being taught how to protect themselves. There are some places that will do
Mhm.
that, how to do proper spirit photography, how to do proper voice recordings to get the best results and to do it safely, because I think you've heard us talk on past Q&As that when you are putting forward an invitation, like even with a voice recorder, phone app, ghost box, pendulum, you name it, if you are, again, Ouija board, it's not so much that it's the device itself as much as it is the intention of initiating contact and making that invitation. So when this happens, you have to realize that you are putting out an invite.
I think
Sorry.
I think that's the
Hmm.
biggest misunderstanding, because you don't need anything to put out an invitation except your voice. And even your thoughts, you have to be very, very careful with that. I know a lot of people, they're probably the most vulnerable when they've lost a loved one
Mm,
and reach out for them, and then we have a different situation where
100%.
where it can
100%.
be a mimic. You don't know who you're speaking to, and
That's
people
the
will
thing.
and then people
You,
will always say, "But they knew this, and they knew that about them, and they gave me their birthday." And
no,
Michelle,
no,
can you
no.
explain to them how that dark side works?
Well, here's the thing. First off, even some of the most seasoned investigators or seasoned mediums can be fooled. We know this because I've spent years helping people, and we help a lot of people.
I've done
So,
it to myself. I'm just saying. Yeah.
see, it's hard because these things do their job well. There
Yeah.
are really malevolent entities out there, or, dimensional entities out there, interdimensional, and it is their job to
Mhm.
cause havoc. That's what they do. Some people call them demons. Some people will just call them other type of entities, shadow beings. There's all kinds of
Angry
entities out
ghosts.
there that can do this. Angry spirits for sure,
Oof.
and they
Yeah.
will mimic things like a child, or you have spirits that will mimic your voice or the voice of your loved one. People have gone to their deaths following voices of people whom they thought were human and were not. So,
Yeah.
how do you keep yourself from falling into that? Well, I always say, communication is one way of not, or of avoiding that, not communicating. Grounding your energy is a really good way to start. Some people will, have special stones. Some people will say prayers. Whatever it is that puts you in control of the situation and keeps your mindset in a place where you are in control. Don't let
Mhm.
your mind run away with you. It's too easy in places, like this place, even, like tons of things have happened here. People have come in and doors have just opened right in the middle of the day. If you're haunted,
Yeah.
you're haunted. It's 24/7. You hear like footsteps going down the stairs, door opening and closing. Yet the door doesn't never open
Non-existent
or
cats
close.
have
It's just
walked
phantom
by.
sounds or,
Yeah.
so I think you just have to be diligent, because sometimes it really is a careful what you wish for situations. People go out there looking for experiences, and then when they have them, they don't really know
It's
what to do with
what
them.
do I do now? I
For sure.
understand the curiosity and the thrill of it. I get it. I get it. I mean, obviously,
Mhm.
here, but
Yeah.
it's it. I feel like you have to do a lot of research and understand. And we've both said several times on other shows, if you're going to get into investigating, like Michelle said, either a ghost hunt, a ghost tour, sorry, or
Mhm.
if you can ask a group, if you have a group in your area, if you can tag along, or if they even do that, you
A lot
know.
of groups I find, if they're looking for someone, but they don't usually bring on a lot of people. I know for us, our team has
No,
been solid for, I mean, we've had very few changes over the course of 2 decades, because
we
when you
should.
work with people, it's important, you get to know one another, trust one another, and you have to have a huge amount of trust when you're going into places that is completely unknown to you.
Yeah, we
It
should
really.
ask Wes.
There you go.
Wes, if you're out there, if you're still listening, do you ever bring people on if they ask you, like if it's someone who knows someone on the team?
Mhm. Carol.
How about Oddfellows? Oh, let Michelle tell you the story.
We actually, yes, we do. Just like the United States, I actually bought out an Oddfellows Lodge and have some of the most incredible, one of a kind furniture that was made by prisoners of a penitentiary that is now closed, and it was part of a rehabilitation program. And all of this one of a kind furniture was made for the lodge, because most of the people, the guards and the wardens, were part of the lodge.
Mhm.
So it was just beautiful thrones, like thrones that are like 8 feet tall and just so unique. And of course, but long before that, I ended up buying a 1854 toe pincher coffin that was part of an Oddfellows, because it had the skeleton in it and such. So I know, big score. It was indeed. It was indeed. I still have a lot of the pieces, and I parted with some of the pieces, and I donated. There were 10 8.5 foot, 200-pound benches. Beautiful. But it's like they're 8.5 feet.
Mhm.
So they all got donated, and funny enough, 6 out of the 10 ended up in a monastery. Oh, who knew what the heck that was all about, right? I know. So, but it was great, because then the guys from the lodge all got the tax receipts, because it all went to Habitat for Humanity.
Yeah,
And
good
this way
cause.
here, it was win-win. They were happy because they didn't know what to do with them. They were all very elderly, and they sold their building. So it really worked
Yeah.
out. And all I really wanted was the thrones, but I had to buy all or nothing. So it's like, all right, here we
That was a
go.
smart way to do it because they would have
Yeah.
had trouble getting rid of those
Yeah, they were
couches
very
are
heavy,
huge.
very heavy.
Yeah.
They didn't know where to turn, what to do.
I
So
remember when you got them. "Bubbles, do you want a couch?" "No."
why
"It
not?
would fit in your living room." "Yeah, I know. Wait, it's just the wrong
I
color."
know.
They're
I
heavy,
could
heavy
had no room for
pieces.
10. I had 10 of them.
Yeah. Well, I
Seriously.
2 could fit in my living room's big
Yeah,
enough
I
for that. It
know.
is beautiful, but
Yeah.
yeah.
No, it was a bit much, but you know, um, nothing was haunted. People, assume, because oh, secret society things going on, and no, nothing was haunted. It was actually, had beautiful energy, and it
What
came
good
from a
vibes.
haunted penitentiary to boot. So, but not at the time. So it's really nice, because some of the thrones are in storage, and 3 of them are here in the house, but they're real, like, eye catchers. So when you see them, especially the Grand Master's throne, it's so big,
Oh, it's
and it's so
massive.
unique. People
Yeah,
just look at it and go, "Wow!" Like,
it's
wow,
massive.
yeah. This is
It's a medieval
exactly right,
castle from a
Tamara.
past life. She'll
You're
move
not
into
wrong.
one. Don't worry about it. She'll
Yeah,
find
you're
one.
not wrong. I visited many of them. I think I just keep bringing back pieces that That's exactly what it is. The whole house is pretty much like medieval in theme,
Yeah.
with very, very old pieces, you know. What do you want?
It's funny. Would anyone
These are
want
hand
my old
carved,
couches?
beautiful.
I don't know. Do you want mine?
What do you want on my old couches? Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
no, no, no. So,
This is the only room in the house that has anything paranormal. The rest of the house is like, I have no, nothing. No, this is I keep everything contained, but I do have a few haunted things in a cabinet, but
yeah.
yeah.
We have a beautiful parlor here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. Haunted objects. I had a few people would give me haunted objects. They sit in storage and they get a couple of years or they want them back. If not, they go for donation. Hence
Mhm.
Habitat for Humanity, and make sure that they're no longer haunted. Sometimes they're not haunted. People just think they are because other researchers have told them it was, and they're like, I
Yeah.
don't want it, you take it. And people know I take them. And it's like, yeah, okay, you've got yourself a year or two to think about it, and I'll keep it in storage until you make a decision. But then they do get donated, they don't get sold. Spiritless. And the only thing that's here, I think, that was haunted, I think, I don't even think it is anymore because it's pretty quiet, was a skull that I had. Used to sit on my desk, hang out, and I had a lot of energy for a long time, and I think after a while it just became at peace because I kept saying, "Go to the light, just go." It just,
Yeah.
it's
It's
just
all how you handle it too when you
for
get
sure.
it. And some things you can't I would love to say, yeah, you can clear every object, but sometimes you can't. And because it doesn't want to go, or things happen. And depending what's attaching itself to it as well. But I'm a firm believer in not trying to find out, but put it under glass, like hence the World War
Mm,
One stuff behind me. But I do have a few things that I know that I bought from Christopher St. Booth, who's been on our show, and his
mm,
auctions that came to me under glass.
mhm.
So that, and like I can't even open it, kind of thing.
Anything
So
can be removed,
yeah,
I feel,
I feel
if you know
sometimes,
how.
yeah, I don't know. Like sometimes I don't know. I agree with you on that. I know what you're saying. Anything can be removed. I feel like it can be a battle though to get there sometimes. Not a battle in a bad way. Like I mean a battle in like strength with this. If it's a human entity, it's actually harder to get rid of than if it's demonic kind of thing.
Hmm. I think if you know how, like I've never had issues getting entities removed or spirits to move on. I think it comes down now, and this is where people are on the fence. Do we have the right to remove a human
Oh,
spirit from an object? Non-human, but
I'm not
human.
on the fence on that at all. I
I
think move
know,
them,
and
move
some
them.
people are.
I know.
I feel that, why would you want to leave them with an object? I think once spirits move on the first time and they know they can come back and forth, but without baggage,
Yeah.
then it's just like a game changer for them too. Why should they remain stuck, you
I
know?
agree. I agree. I mean, we do
Yeah.
these cases. I just feel like sometimes it's it's a battle. Even when we do it all in the same night, it's like, are you kidding me? Like, I want to say to them, like, just walk. It's gonna
I
be
know.
so much better.
What's
It's like
wrong with
sometimes
you?
it's a battle. It is
Yeah.
because it
Mm,
depends why
right.
they're stuck, especially if they've committed suicide. It becomes a thing where they just have so much fear and you have to
Yeah.
break down
It's
that
mindset again. So
energy.
you just have
Yeah.
to change it.
Yeah. They're stuck. And
Mhm. That's mindset because,
I could
people.
never leave a child spirit. I mean, I can't leave any spirit, but I
Mm,
could never leave a child spirit and be able to say, well, it's part of their life. Really?
mm,
Where do you get that? I'm asking, where do you get that?
mhm,
I can't even be Switzerland about this. I'm
mhm.
very firm and move them along. There's a reason. Ooh, I'm starting to sound like a guest. There's a there's a
There we go.
reason why
Mhm,
we are there. That's how I look at it. We're
mhm,
there and we're there at that moment to help
mhm,
them.
mhm.
we
sure.
are that light, we are that light. It's like, oh, I didn't get help, well, I sent you this and this. And sometimes you have to help yourself, but I believe we're sent there to help them, and that's why we can see them, that's why we can communicate with them, that's why these cases, or these, I hate calling them cases, but these situations come to us because we can
No,
help them. And
I
I
believe if
feel
you have an ability, you should use it and pay it
that's
forward.
that's
That's
what I was
my
just going to
belief.
say. If you're a
Yeah,
medium
that's
and
my
you can
belief.
see that spirit, I think it's an injustice for you to
Mhm,
leave it there. You wouldn't leave a human child or
mhm.
a human suffering in a home or in a building. Why would
So
you leave a
here's
spirit?
here's another question then. Okay, I'll put this question out to everybody. And I mean, I already know how Amelia and I are pretty like-minded, but I'm just going to throw this out there to you guys. What about these haunted attraction, these haunted locations that cater to people who come and investigate these places? Now, in some cases, that money is used to maintain the place or to restore the place. Um, I'm on two levels with this. Um, so, do you leave the spirits because it's part of a business? What about malevolent things that can follow people back? What about people that go into these places with not a lot of experience or experience, but of the mind that I'm going to make demands, I'm going to conjure things in, I want this experience because of the energy in this place. And then so now there's more things in the house, right? So I'm there's like a lot of different angles to this. So chime in, people.
Yeah, it's not
Chime
black
in,
and
chime in.
white.
This is like the discussion part of things. So, yeah, what do you do with that? Because I have quite a few friends who own crazy haunted locations, and I mean, I've been to some of these places not to investigate, but just as a guest, because we're friends, and it's just like when I go there, it was never the intention to investigate unless okay, well, we're filming, so we do this and blah blah blah. It's like, okay. But I've probably been to two or three different places like this, and on an average, especially the one location in Pennsylvania, spirits are very very happy, and a lot of them just come and go.
But
But
they're ascended.
they're ascended, and then there's
It's different.
sometimes there's a lot of these haunted objects. So if we're going back to haunted objects, things that come into the location, and sometimes it's the objects that have you know
And what do you do if the person who owns the place, now I'm not referring to anyone I mean in general, if the people that own the place don't want you?
To remove. Well, if it's part of their business, yeah, you can't do it if it's someone's business, I think. Yeah. See, like a lot of people are really on the fence
See,
with this,
and I have a different outlook to that. I believe that if a place is haunted and you remove the human spirits, there's always something there.
Yeah.
Regardless, it doesn't, if it's a place where there's an energy and there's a light, so to speak, where things are coming in, I think they'll always be there. If it's haunted, it's haunted, but I believe in removing human entities at all
Hmm.
costs. I'm sorry. You're not gonna want me in your place if you don't want your things moved, or
Hmm.
you don't think, "Sorry, these people are not your things."
Hmm.
Um, I can tell you straight out, if you invite me to a location that you own and it's haunted, I can guarantee
Boom.
you that when I leave,
It's
everybody will be with me and ascended.
yeah, see,
That I
that's
can guarantee you, because 'cause I'm not that person. I can't lie about that. If
hmm
you say to me, "I don't want you moving any spirits on," I don't think that you're the person that can make that decision.
hmm
I believe that if the spirit is really content here, they will come back.
hmm I think that's it too. I think that's a key is people assume that spirits need to be grounded to be interactive. The
Yeah,
spirits here, you know, the lady of the house here is super interactive, always has been, right
yeah.
down to the point where, she would direct us as to, yes, there was a door here once. Yes, there was this here. There was that here. Look here, look there. Like there was a lot of guidance into the restoration of her home, because this house was built for her to
Yeah.
entertain in. This was her house.
She
And
helped a lot.
people seem to think that spirits need to be stuck to interact. We find the opposite. I mean, the amount of activity in this house and the spirits, there were a lot more then. They weren't all stuck, and a lot of them could come back
Mm-hmm.
if they are happy enough at a location. They will come
Yeah.
back. So I
Yeah.
don't know.
I'm
It's
all about that. Ascension doesn't mean that they're gone forever.
no.
I think you need to remember that. Hi, Joanne. I don't think we have a right to use someone's spirit for your profit. Agree completely, Amelia. Thank you, Joanne. It's for me, I know it's tough for people and I feel for them when they're in this industry, but I have a hard time because that's like saying, here, let me keep your kid here and
Mhm.
make some money while they throw some balls around and people take pictures.
You know,
If you look at them as human, I
mm,
think that's where
yeah.
you start to feel differently. It's a perspective too. So,
I'll tell you a story. I was filming on a location. The neighbor from across the street came to me and said, "I need to talk to you." And I could sense there was a problem. And I said, "Would you like me to come to your home?" And I pointed to her. She goes, "Yes, please." I said, "Okay." Now, the backstory on this was the family 13-year-old daughter drowned in a swimming pool, a friend's swimming pool. She got caught in the top of her bathing suit,
oh,
got caught in the
the
filter.
strainer, the
Yeah,
drain.
yes.
Yeah, that's why we don't have those anymore.
And
Yeah.
the family went on to they closed it, locked up all their cars. Everything became a tomb, a monument. They were trying the cars were locked up because of her smells. Like they wanted to hold that. They bought another car. They
Oh,
wouldn't leave. I said, "Look," I said, they go, "We want to make sure the spirits in this house aren't bothering her." And I'm just like, "No, because you have her kind of grounded here and
yeah,
she
it's
doesn't
their
really
way of
leave." And
keeping her there.
I said, "What
Yeah.
do you do now? She's staying out of guilt. What do you do now when you pass away?" Like, "Well, our son will take care of her." I'm like, I said, "That's very selfish. It's a very selfish thing to do, A, to your son, B, to yourselves, C, to her especially." Years and years and years went by, and finally something happened, and they just sold the house, sold all the cars. Um, that was it. You and I actually ascended her. So, right. Well, after,
I was gonna say that because I didn't know if I could.
yeah, no, it's true.
Yeah.
It's
It
true.
was just
Because they
heartbreaking.
moved and she was left behind. You see what
Yeah.
I'm saying? So I think people have to realize that the best thing to do is to send someone. We once again worked at this location, and it was a murder. And this woman was in a shelter for 2 weeks. Nobody knew she was gone. I couldn't believe
No,
nobody checked
it's
on her.
heartbreaking. Yeah.
We moved her on. You know, she had schizophrenia. I kept hearing lots of voices. My head kept buzzing and all these noises. And I was finally able to get her to move on. And I told her, "You can come back. I promise you can come back." She was afraid to leave her things because it's all she had in the world.
Mhm.
Anyway, she came back the next day because we went back to do a follow-up because this was a crime scene. Like this was a crime scene cleanup, all of this. And she came back and she told us who her killer was. We related that information to the owner of the company, whose behalf we were there to, because this was like an experiment per se, because he kept saying, "I keep going to these cleanup sites, after that, and people are left behind, and our crews are having very difficult times." So I said, let's just play with this a bit. He, let's figure this out. He goes, "Okay." Anyway, we will go in and make sure that we can move the spirits on so then the crew could do what they had to do. So he took that information to the police and the guy was arrested. She
Hmm.
came back and nailed her killer.
I gotta tell you, that happens to a lot of mediums too for giving information to the police. because they're going to question why you have that information. They're not going to say, hey, you're psychic.
I
That's
know.
great.
She gave information. There was
Yeah.
stuff hidden in the couch, and that's what the police came back and looked for. And basically, the owner of the company said, I found this in the couch. We were taking everything out. We had to clean everything. And that's because he knew to look for it. And it had this person's, I guess, something that belonged to him. So I don't know,
We have some
Anyway,
really good days sometimes. um,
go ahead.
yeah.
Yeah. So Carol says,
Yes, I have. Hi, Carol. I have always wondered if the spirits get so tired and annoyed with all the people coming and going, asking questions day in and day out. Yeah, it's a good point. Think
yeah,
about it if
I
it
would
was
get
you.
tired of it. I'd be the one in the spirit that come up beside you and say, shut up.
She would. Gotta tell
I
you that.
would.
I
I would.
wonder, maybe before we continue on to Michelle, if you could just explain to those that are watching or listening that don't understand what grounded spirit means. Because I think when people think they're grounded, they think, oh, they're here. They don't realize that it's a stuck kind of thing. I think they don't know that, they don't understand that that's what that is.
Yeah. Grounded essentially means that the spirit has not ascended to the next level of their journey, as I say. Some people will say, oh, they go to heaven. Every belief system has a different theory. I always say the next leg of the journey. We just move on, and it just, wherever we're meant to be is where we'll be. And some spirits, for many different reasons, don't move on. Maybe it's unfinished business. Maybe they've been murdered. Maybe they died in an accident. So basically, if you're shocked out of the body, a lot of spirits hang back because they don't even realize that they're gone.
Mhm.
Sometimes, if you can get them to realize it, then it's like, but I didn't have a chance to say goodbye to my family. There's a lot of different reasons they hang back. Sometimes you end up moving into a home and they're so attached to their home. If you look at the theory, let's look at back in the day, that you would have a lot of why we have haunted lands. You have a lot of these new surveys out there, that are brand spanking new. You don't realize they were on somebody's land before. Maybe they were farms, maybe it was indigenous land. But let's work with the farm, because a lot of farms are getting amalgamated and turning into large subdivisions. Back in the day, all a man had, and I'll say a man because they were considered to be the head of the household, they owned everything, um, was they were land wealthy. Chances are they were born on the land sustained them, cattle, crops. You had to, cut wood to be able to light a fire to keep warm. You had to get lard, from your cattle to basically either cook in, make candles. Like, there was just life was not easy back then. You were married, your children were born in the land. Chances are some may have died on the land. Many children died back in the day.
Yeah.
You die on the land, you're buried on the land. All of a sudden, the land gets sold. Doesn't mean you're giving up the land. It's everything you had. It's what made you somebody in many
Mhm.
cases. Because I've done these big, beautiful golf course homes that used to be farms and haunted as heck. And I'd laugh
Mhm.
because the neighbors don't want to talk about it. I guarantee your neighbors are haunted too. This isn't
Yeah,
just
it's
an
not just your
isolated house.
square of
No,
land.
exactly. So spirits remain behind for different reasons. And you need to figure out what that reason is and convince them in a way to, you might want to just go over. They don't realize, because of mindset, religious belief systems. If you covet that neighbor's wife, man, people are like, I'm going to hell. I'm going to stay right here, take my chances, and see what happens. And they realize, okay, things aren't any different, except for the fact that I'm not in hell, and I broke a commandment or two, but I can still see my loved ones. They don't realize that it doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
Suicides, you were taught through religion, you don't have the right to take your own life. Only God has the right to take your life. Well, when someone takes their own life, you have to imagine that they are at a very low point in their lives. They're very depressed. Something led them to take their life in that moment. I'm sorry, but when the body stops working, the essence is still the same. You are still in that state of mind. You probably feel worse now because you can see what your family is going through. You can see the grieving and the pain. And sometimes people have this last minute, oh my God, I can't stop it. So they're aware that they're passing. This is what you're dealing with. You can't imagine, because you don't go through it. So when you're dealing with a mix of emotions, you're dealing with circumstances and belief systems. And that is why you have spirits who remain behind. Grounded is just a term that's used, but they're not ascended. They haven't moved on. And sometimes they just need a little bit of help to do that. There.
Yeah, thank you. No, because I think that people who are new at this and just, even watching shows, it's not explained.
Mm-hmm.
And unless you work as a psychic or a medium some investigators don't even understand the
Mm-hmm.
difference of that.
Right.
Hi, Adrian. Adrian asked, I was wondering if graveyards are haunted by people who were also haunted in life. Otherwise, who the heck would stay in a cemetery?
It's a great question,
Yeah.
because this is what I say to people who feel that they always have to go to the cemetery to visit with their loved ones. The loved ones, they don't leave you. They're not going to go sit with, they're in a hole in the ground, or they've been cremated, or it's a symbolic thing, I think, that the living need, because the deceased don't leave you. They remain with their families. They're fully aware of everything that goes on. And I realized this more, it was like a big realization when I worked with a family who they lost their mother and father within a year apart, almost exact. And they went to a wedding because I kept saying, no, the communication is your father is with you and all the time. She goes, well, we were just at this wedding, and her father acknowledged it. And she goes, well, I want to know what Aunt so-and-so, if he was there, what was Aunt so-and-so wearing?
Oh,
He
gosh.
came back and he said, a floral dress with the ugliest hat I've ever seen. And that's exactly what the father would have said. He would have said it just like that. Everybody at
Yeah.
the table started crying. And it goes to show you they don't miss a beat,
Nope.
So just, you want to talk to them, just talk to them. They can hear you. As for the first part of the question, Bubbles, you want to take that one? Wondering if graveyards are haunted by people who are also haunted in life.
Well, of course, it could be possible. I mean, you're haunted in life, or you're haunting, it's an unfinished business, or it's anger, or it's
Mm.
emotion that's holding you back.
We've
Anything
seen
that
it.
holds you back will create a
Yeah.
haunting. You'll be grounded. I don't believe that graveyards are as haunted as you think.
Mm.
And when they are haunted, they're not necessarily the spirits that are resting there.
Mm-hmm.
They're not necessarily the souls of those people. I've been to
Mm-hmm.
graveyards because I find them fascinating. Some of them are just so beautiful, and I find a lot of peace in them. I probably have had a life where I've sat and had a picnic lunch in the Victorian era in a graveyard.
I've done it in
Um,
this life.
I've brought
I'm
cake
a
to my
weirdo, though.
mom,
What can I say?
so I mean,
Mm,
I am that person that can sit
mm.
in a cemetery and talk
I do it.
and eat and have no issue with it whatsoever. My friend Nancy Stash, we've traveled to Boston together and a few places together, and everywhere we go, I've always, she can tell this to you, I tell you about this. I stop at any cemetery I can,
Mm,
especially if I'm drawn to it. Sometimes I think I'm drawn to it to help people, but
mm,
I have brought spirits home with me from a
mhm.
cemetery. It's not a good thing all the time.
No, no.
So you have to be careful. I mean, I brought one back from Boston with me. That's a long way from Salem,
Mhm.
from the burying point. So, you
But they
know,
will follow people. There's something about
yeah,
you. If they feel that you can help them, or if you remind them of someone that they once knew, they're going to come and tag along for a while. But on an average, if they're grounded to a location, they will go back to the location. My biggest concern here is, just because I've spent 2 decades dealing with attachments and people, and that doesn't change. We do it all the time now. And if you have an attachment, you have to realize these things attach to you for your essence. The body is just collateral damage. It will just have you harm yourself. It
Excuse me.
will
Yeah.
kill yourself, kill somebody else. It doesn't care. It just, wears you down physically, tries to take away your will to fight by just wearing you down every which way it can. But when the essence leaves the body, don't think that the attachment doesn't go with it, because I've seen it for years. We see it regularly where you try to get a spirit to move on and you realize, oh, wait, they can't, because they feed off that energy. They hold them hostage. There's so many ghosts at locations I have been to that have been held hostage by more aggressive entities. And it's just, it's not right. It's not right. A lot of this stuff actually happens. So we remove those attachments and then we can move those spirits that are grounded, because they've been pretty much, fighting for their essence in their afterlife just as much as they did in real life. There's just so much to consider there. There really is.
Yeah.
General or generational attachments. Yeah, that's a thing as well. Absolutely.
Yeah, huge thing.
Yeah. The question.
Yes, but aren't there familiar spirits around us who can pretend to be our loved ones? Mimics, yes.
Yes, all the time. Happens all the time. But
Yeah.
cemeteries they're beautiful. I've spent literally from the time I was a child, I would hang out in cemeteries. My friends used to think I was a weirdo. I used to love hanging out there. In fact,
Yeah.
I ended up purchasing 2 headstones from the 1800s. One was from the Civil War, but it wasn't used. It was from what I understand from the person who bought it at auction, it was a symbolic thing for the family, because the young man, their son, who died in the war, Civil War, it was just everybody just, there was nothing left. So there's a big monument. And I won't say the location. I don't want to say the location, but it's a very famous location. So this was just put on the property as something symbolic, because back in the day, people would bury their dead on their property, like we were
Yeah.
talking about earlier. So
If they had a body, but even if they had a
they
marking.
didn't, but
Yeah.
they wanted the family to have something symbolic in a place, because we
Absolutely.
need something physical.
For the
But,
for the ones left behind. Yeah.
exactly. And I'm in possession of 2 different ones right now. And it's just, we've had them researched, and, the one, we just can't find anything on it at all. Probably a property that got divided up and headstones knocked down, and that's it. So yeah, it was fun bringing those across the border. Bought them legit, receipt and the whole 9 yards. But yeah,
Hamilton did the graveyards in Boston. All
yes.
of them? Or did you? I did wherever I could. I was only there a few days, but I need to go back. Jessica, hi Jess. I always worry I know she does. I always worry about something attaching when I go to the cemetery. I shield myself and hope that's enough. You're good at grounding. So,
No,
yeah.
exactly.
I know what she means because well, she's my niece, but my brother, or her dad, and my parents are in that mausoleum. And when you go up the stairs, you have to walk by a row, a really deep row, and then this row, and then you're turning in. And it's overwhelming. And there's saint statues everywhere, but and the Virgin Mary, but it's overwhelming. Again, almost like a mindset, even though nothing is there. So I understand that. And then her being gifted,
Mindset.
she's,
See
yeah,
again.
and
Yeah.
she's gifted. So she's picking up maybe not voices, but the pressure of that energy trying to get to her because she's
Sure.
grounded and shielded.
Sure.
So I get that. I get that completely. Well, we're in the same building, but
Right.
I can sit there and have lunch, which is really crazy.
Well, I've done it.
But
Sometimes just go sit and have a little, put your
yeah,
feet up for a while. It's quiet.
it's
You want a quiet
so
place?
quiet. And
I'm
it's
moving to a place that my only neighbors is a cemetery.
I can't wait to go there. But
I'm a very happy camper over here. I'm going to get quiet, dang it, one way or another.
yes.
So,
How do you shield yourself?
oh, I
Chris,
just want
my
to tackle
nephew.
this comment first. That's up on the
Yeah,
screen.
sorry. I just saw my nephew come up. That's why. Tyler, hi Tyler. I have spirit cat. Are they protectors or are they harmful?
We have a house full of spirit cats.
I was just gonna
I
say
don't
that
know.
my first night there.
It's a free for all here. I don't know. I wouldn't say harmful at all.
No,
No,
I
absolutely
find
not.
that if you go back in time in the Egyptians and you find how powerful
Very
and strong
sacred.
and protective they were, I believe that's something that,
Cats are
there's a
believed
reason.
to ward off evil spirits.
Yeah. So
That's
I
how they are.
think the whole black cat thing is such I actually really love
Mm.
black cats, but
All
yeah.
right.
Hello, Christopher. Chris is my nephew. I hope you're doing well. How do you shield yourself?
Go ahead.
I'm going to send you that grounding because I'm pretty sure I sent it. I'll send you that grounding again. Shielding yourself very much, again, you have to go into a mindset. What I do is a technique that Michelle gave me, and it's phenomenal because it's easy to follow and you can say it out loud so that you're visualizing this. But you really have to feel it. It's almost like earthing. You can earth and still protect and shield yourself, but it's always about bringing light either through you or around you and out of you and reflecting anything negative off of you. But I will send it to you, Chris, on your cell phone. And it's very easy to follow.
Lovely compliment.
Hi, Terry. Can I say how interesting and informative your shows are? I'm fairly new to watching. I absolutely love. Oh, thanks for being here. Well, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
My gosh.
Yeah, we appreciate you all.
Absolutely. My God. We couldn't have these kind of nights without you. Joanne asks, can you please send me the ground? Yes. Sorry, Joe. I'm like reading it like I don't know her. Adrian, churches are typically constructed on PowerPoints. This means the graveyards nearby are too. I wonder if there is a recipe for trouble.
I think it depends. Yeah, where I know in the ancient world there most certainly were power spots. Tend to have portals and things like that. So cemeteries, I mean, I think old cemeteries, yes, depending. Some of them were on private property, they're their properties.
Yeah.
But in the old world, yeah, big time.
Also, when cemetery isn't always consecrated ground, a graveyard is.
Mhm.
So that's the difference between the two. Consecrated meaning protected and blessed continuously, not just once.
Mhm.
As consecrated ground is continually nurtured and blessed and protected. Those are graves. Paul Revere, I have pictures of me there.
No,
Yes,
nothing
Granary
negative.
Burial Ground. Hamilton, I stayed at the hotel across the street. No, nothing negative in that. But the church where Cotton Mather did his preaching was unpleasant. I didn't make it to the church. Yeah, Paul Revere is buried at the, oh my gosh, grave at the Granary Burial Ground. So is Mother Goose. She was the first woman to come off of the Mayflower.
Mhm.
And the captains, they're all buried there. And I stayed at a hotel directly across the street from there. That was the last place I went to, was there. And I have tons of photos from
Yes.
there. It's a beautiful cemetery. A couple of spots on Boston Common.
Yeah.
Not so good atmosphere. No. But that's also because you remember that Boston was built on water. They only had a few, I'm Canadian, I'm going to say kilometers, and then the rest was dirt brought in and they were built. So there's a lot of battles even before it was ground on the water and a
Water
lot of deaths.
amplifies energy as well. So
It
if you
does,
have
and
really negative energy in one space, the water will amplify that. And if the water's underneath, it's like quartz and limestone, same.
Yeah, and Boston Commons got a massive park, almost, I wouldn't compare it to New York's, what's it called? Oh my God.
World Trade? No,
Their
what are you
park.
talking about? Central
Oh
Park?
my, yes, thank you.
Central Park.
I'm losing
It's like
it.
charades. I'm just watching your hands going, okay, what is
Yes, because I'm frustrated because I'm like, but again, like
Right.
Michelle said, it's surrounded by water. There's water everywhere. So it's a little bit, and you've got the harbor right there. So it's a little bit more I can understand how he feels sinister. I had a lot going on, and then the hotel that was attached to our hotel, I won't say it out loud on air. It is a massively popular hotel known for its hauntings, and I can tell you the energy is thick as a knife when you just walk on the sidewalk by the door. So that was leaching into our hotel room.
Oh yeah, they have
So
a
yeah.
way, a
Yeah,
long
that was
reach.
I was waiting for my friend to finish getting ready, and I'm just watching TV. This is before we're getting ready to go out for dinner. And I watched her bag be lifted like this up off the chair and come across and then be placed on the floor because the spirit wasn't happy with her purse being.
Yeah.
And then she comes out of the bathroom and she looks down and I look at her and go, I don't even want to say it because there's fear for her, right? And
No, for sure.
it's like, why is my bag on the floor?
It
I didn't move it.
happens. It
I didn't move it.
happens,
It was
right?
really cool to watch. It's like, "Oh,
Absolutely.
who's here? Who's here?"
Absolutely.
Because 'Cause you're just sort of, immersed in television and waiting, and then, whoop, it's like, "Wow." But
Mhm.
that was the first time I was there. So,
Yeah.
there was
Yeah.
a lot of experiences that first time.
What I
Yeah, Tamara, hi, Tamara. Even Burlington has a ley line which goes in front of City Hall as they have time slips there.
I know, I used to do
We
the
could make
tours there
jokes about that.
for 15 years, and it was
Yeah.
actually City Hall staff that would update us on all the recent stories. There were times where they would look out their windows in the courtyard, and they would see, people, from period clothing and
Oh, how
horses and
cool is
carts and
that?
oh, yeah, and they would come on a tour every year, with me because of the fact that they would give us all new information when we did these tours. It was great. So
Mhm.
yes, ley lines, absolutely. Sorry guys, we have 8 different chat rooms here, so it's not like we're ignoring anybody, but we're just bouncing around
No.
from trying to get some comments at least from all 8 chats.
Yeah, and there's YouTube as well. I do a high
YouTube as well, yeah.
I don't understand how there be spirit guides and a negative attachment at the same time, and spirits being held hostage at death would kind of indicate that spirit guides are not helpful.
It's a good question. And
Yeah.
spirit guides, it's not that they can't be helpful. You just have to the spirit who is stuck has to take the direction. And if they're fearful, can the spirit guides, are they strong enough to remove them? They were human spirits once as well. I believe they can. But there's many reasons why we're finding these spirits with attachments.
I think sometimes, well, think I've
Mhm.
seen sometimes where spirit guides are being held hostage.
As well, because a
Yeah,
lot of them were human spirits as well.
spirit guides, yes.
I think things happen for different reasons. It's not so much that they're not helpful. I mean, I've seen people's loved ones come into homes that have entities and just go full on, causing them a lot of angst and much like they take chances. I believe ascended spirits don't really have anything to worry about, and a lot of them do come back and they do help and they
Stronger
do
than
try to
ever.
reach out. The problem is the living are not listening. They don't listen.
Good point. Yeah, there's spirit guides, and I'm just gonna say for me, because I communicate with them so much,
Mhm,
I don't I don't feel like they're there 24/7 for one thing. I feel like if I call on them, they
mhm,
come. And for those of us who believe in angels and archangels, there's many ways to cope with that and to ask for assistance.
mhm.
Tamara says we have choice and they need to ask for help from spirit guides.
Free
But if they do
choice.
not ask, they can't.
Yeah,
Thanks, Tamara. I should have read that before I even said
it's
anything.
true.
Yeah,
Let's do a quick sponsor station ID, and I'm going to get to some of these questions that I got in an email. So this could be for you, Doug, because holy crud, there's quite a few questions.
for who?
I won't say his last name on here because I don't know if he
Oh,
would like
oh,
that, but
okay, okay, okay,
I'm
okay, okay.
looking at an email, and the first name is Doug, and I will read out the email. because I'm going to send them a link to the show. It's much easier for me to do it this way than to try to answer all
There's
these
just too
emails.
many. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, you are listening to The Outer Realm with Michelle DeRoche and Amelia Pisano, coming to you live on 105.3 FM radio from the gorgeous city of New Orleans in the United States. We are also streaming internationally, worldwide, so you can catch us anywhere. Tonight's guests are our amazing audience, and all of those of you who have sent in emails and questions. We're doing a huge Q&A, and it's been a lot of fun just trying to launch Spooktober, spooky month, October. We'd like to give a shout out and a thank you to the amazing people at Folgers Coffee for fully sponsoring our show from day one. Thank you for your support and your continuing sponsorship. Thank you, thank you, thank you. A huge thank you for our outro and our intro to Dr. Snick, the sonic surgeon, Justin Snicker, award-winning composer and musician. You can find his music on Amazon and Bandcamp and follow him on Facebook and Instagram. He is launching all his Halloween music right now, so make sure you find him and follow him on social media. Stream or listen to our archives on the platform you normally use. Please remember to subscribe and give us a like too. Help us grow so that we can cover more and more for you.
And yes, Hamilton, get that commercial to us. One that we can actually use.
Folgers plug. Yes.
Yes, one that we can actually use.
One that we can use. No moose things in it.
Okay, so here's an email we got from Doug, and I've saved it because there's a few questions in there.
Okay.
It goes, have you ever been, sorry, I've got to read this and it's in an email, so it's not very large. Have you ever been jumped by a ghost or possessed by spirits? I can say no, Amelia.
Well, you were there.
Oh, yes.
I was definitely walked into a few
Amelia
times.
Can't say no.
Amelia can't say no. Possessed? No, not that I know of.
No. Jumped by a ghost? Yeah,
not
have.
yet.
I have not.
Or maybe I should say not yet. I feel very, very comfortable and safe with Michelle, and I think that's part of being, so not benign for us, but so safe.
I protect everybody on the team always.
Yeah, and it was the first time we were working together.
Time.
It was the first time ever, and I got stuck on a staircase. I think I talked about this just recently as well. And Michelle came back for me. Michelle and Wayne were the only ones that knew I was missing. But anyways, because it was an active moment. It was a very active moment. There was a murder at that
more
house.
Than you think. I've had to pull things out of at least 2 other mediums, actually.
Yeah,
I have been on site with. So maybe it's just like they're caught in this moment. And
I was just walking up the stairs following it, but it was I can talk about a little bit because she had it on television, right? It was there was a murder in that house, and I was following the victim and what was happening the day that it happened. So it was reliving in my vision and my way of being able to read. It was happening again. It was like on loop from beginning to end. So we were following this, and it came through me because I was literally following her footsteps, a couple of steps before her, and it just went. But I just froze, like I dropped. I feel like I lost a few minutes there.
It can happen.
But it was worth
one of those things we're talking about, grounded.
Yeah.
Being properly grounded would help you to minimize anyway this sort of
yes, and I wasn't
experience.
that I can say I was not properly grounded that day. I was just a little bit shielded, not properly. I was so into what was going on, so immersed into it. It was it was a terrible experience. I really felt for her, but when you
sorry. There's just questions coming. I will get through to questions and comments once we're done with this email question. I'm not ignoring anybody. Just go ahead, Amelia.
Yeah, but it just kind of went through me, and it knocked the wind out of me, kind of thing. She didn't stay there.
Right.
It's
still
by
pretty
things.
impactful when it happens. It can be pretty frightening.
I've been pushed, scratched, followed. A lot of stuff has happened to me.
Well, that's the next question. Why do spirits like to follow us from home to home? That's what I call haunted people. Haunted
I'm
people
not
are a
laughing, I'm,
thing.
like, agreeing, yeah.
It's true. Haunted
Yes.
people are a thing. Sometimes it's not the location. Sometimes it's people. It's not
No.
necessarily attachments. Sometimes it can be attachments. One of the questions that I ask people when they message me is how long has the activity been going on? Where do they feel it began? What were they doing at the time that
Mhm.
they feel, something came into their life? Sometimes it's generational. It comes from family members. It's just a cycle. But there's something about you, obviously, that again, every situation is different. If you have a spirit, heck, you could have moved into an apartment and the spirit's just like, you remind me of somebody, or hey, I like you.
Mm.
It could be something that's simple. It's not always something sinister.
That's what happened to me, if it's okay
See,
for me to
everything
share it.
happens above us.
No,
Yeah.
the first I remember the first case that I worked on, the first cold case when I was
Mm,
starting out and being trained and, mentored to taught how to read photos and how to trust it's all about trust, trusting your
mm,
your gut, your feeling, and what you're seeing and hearing. I remember that first one, and I told you about this. She looked a lot like me. And
mhm,
she was murdered, and she was a nurse, and a family had reached out to a Facebook group of mediums, and part of that, was to give back and to train at the same time, and of course, I jumped on it,
mhm,
but I couldn't I couldn't release her, I needed help
mhm,
moving her because it almost felt like I possibly was her at a time, but
mhm,
anyways, that's a whole other show. But
mhm,
she was in my life for quite a few weeks, actually.
mhm,
Um, Even though her story was told and there wasn't the unfinished business, she was so grateful, and
mhm,
I got too close, if you could say
mhm,
that. I
mhm.
got too close,
It
and
happens.
yeah,
It happens.
I feel like I got attached, and Zachman's comment actually
Well,
explains it really, really well.
yeah, I'll get to all the
Yeah,
comments.
that fits, if it's okay, it fits in
Yeah,
with
okay.
this story. Sorry,
Okay, let
thank
me
you. Zachman's wrote, "Never been possessed, but almost felt like I was influenced by supernatural forces at certain times." That definitely fits and describes that situation for me anyways. It
okay.
wasn't harmful.
Next one. What was the most terrifying event or spirit you've ever had to battle? Oh, I don't battle
Oh,
things.
that's Michelle.
Yes, I've encountered a lot. I've encountered a lot of really malevolent things because that's what I primarily work in. I don't often go investigate just to do fun things. In fact, I don't really investigate at all anymore. I just don't have the time. But malevolent things, haunted forest was fun. But again, like I don't really, I don't know. Like I have a healthy respect. I don't really fear things on an average. Not that I don't fear them. I guess I just don't. I don't show it. I just deal with a different mindset. Right. But as far as what was the most terrifying event, I haven't really had terrifying events. As scary as some of this stuff is, I think for me, it's always about the people. It's not about myself. So, um,
In your own personal what happened that
yeah,
you've talked about. Yeah.
yeah,
That's probably the scariest thing.
yeah, I worry about the people. When I had something happen to my daughter, now that was an entirely different situation, and that was from a case that I had done, and that was really frightening because I was helping a family. And
Yeah.
in the end, I ended up with, you learn. You get a little bit, not that I was, I'm not really cocky per se, but it's just I was overconfident. And I felt as though I really did not have any issue with whatever was there. And daughter actually lost her sight, just woke up, I can't
Oh,
see.
so scary.
It was really scary.
Yeah.
And it just left me in a place where I had to deal with that. And we took her to oh my God, we took her to literally every specialist. She had CT scans. She had, oh God, you name it. She had it, every MRIs, everything. And it took my doctor saying to me, what have you done to, like, lately? What have you worked on lately that you think could have affected you? And I thought to myself, oh my God, I know exactly what it is. Do you know that within exactly 30 days, she could see?
Thank God.
That
Yeah.
that humbled me.
Mm-hmm.
That humbled me. That was something that I never expected, that I never thought would be something I ever had to worry about. So it's not worrying about what's there, things like that. I'm not I'm
Oh,
not I'm not fearful of things like that at all. But it made me realize that those around me are not untouchable. I'm not untouchable. That was a very humbling experience.
I always say, and I saw that episode when you shared that story. I always say that the dark side can often be like the cartel. They don't go after you, they go after the ones you love.
Mhm.
So when you're out there and you're investigating, or you're out there and you're trying to, I don't know, help people with malevolent energy and you don't know how or anything, it's better not to, because you're not thinking this is going to affect my family. You're thinking you have to shield yourself, but you're not thinking about who else is being affected by it. And I think that's important. And I'm glad Michelle shares that story often with us, because it was a
Mhm.
very horrific time in all of their lives. And
Mhm.
it just because she was trying to help someone.
It's a
I mean,
humbling
imagine that, you
experience,
know?
and
Yeah.
people don't realize that. I mean, some people do. Not a lot of people realize that a researcher comes into this situation, and we take chances. We
Yeah.
take chances all the time. I've had things come to my house because they know I'm going to a location. And my mindset, again, is what keeps a situation from going bad for me or not happening at all. I've had things just like, I remember being on my way to a location, and this thing was a knocker. It would always knock. And I was just in my ensuite, and I come out, and I heard 3 knocks on my bedside
Oh, I
table.
hate that. Yeah.
And I grabbed my purse off the bed, and I was saying, "I'll see you in an hour, mister." Grab my purse, and I bolted out of the house. Or I'll hear something growl at me. I'm like, "Nobody wants to hear you." So that's pretty
She
much
really
how
does talk to them that
I
way, by the
do. I
way. I'm
do
not
talk to them like
kidding.
that. It's
I,
not
I
that
used to laugh, and then I think something's going to smack me for laughing.
I know, right? Like, but the thing is that it's not that you're not unnerved. I just don't show that I'm unnerved. I handle it very, very differently. And when I say you are more in control than you think, that's just one example of being in control.
Yeah. That's one of the
Tamara,
greatest things I learned from you,
yeah, it has to
was
be.
acknowledgement as power. And you hear
Mhm,
that, but when you're working with Michelle, you really see it.
mm,
And then you understand that
yeah.
it's so important to keep your cool and stay calm and not
Mm.
acknowledge it. I've had a demonic growl within 6 inches from my ear, maybe less, in my
You
own
gotta
room.
love those.
And I
I
did
love those.
not acknowledge it. And
Yeah,
then Michelle and I worked that night, and I said to
yeah,
her, by the way, this is what happened today. And we
mm,
dealt with it then. Why
yeah.
could I? Because I didn't acknowledge it. And eventually, you know, you don't have that kind of issue anymore. You're feeding
You
it.
don't. It's
You're feeding
it's
it. It's like the neighborhood
That's
cat.
right. Mindset, it really is everything. Guys, I practice what I preach. I don't just say it. Tamara, um, do you think age changes your view on how you react to paranormal events in your life? I pretty much have always reacted the same way. Honestly, I've always reacted this way. Um, I learned early on because when I was going through things, it's not like there weren't a lot of paranormal teams around. That's that simple. I had to really educate myself on how to do clearings or cleansings. And I learned myself that it really was everything that was going on up here, which is what helped me. And it's something that I have gone on and taught everybody that I have helped. This is something that I have taught them, you know.
Mhm.
What are you on about? Oh, the knocker
Because
came
he
to visit
wrote,
me. Yeah,
yes, but the knocker came to visit
just so
me.
lame. Yeah,
Oh,
this is
stop
true.
whining.
I know.
I'm kidding, I'm kidding.
Zach
No, that's
Man.
scary. That was a scary night.
It
Yeah.
was. It could be for sure.
Well, that's a good
They let you
example
get
of
through.
how they can interfere. I mean, they blocked all the messages and the phone calls, so that's a big one.
It's true. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
true. And unfortunately, like it's like all his messages all came in the next day. Bing, 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 bing. Quiet.
Yeah.
My phone is on for people 24/7 when I help somebody. And I have a lot of people that will say to you, "Oh my God, I texted her 3 in the morning. She replied," because I know what it's like. People get unnerved and
Mhm.
they just need to know there's somebody there with them, even if I'm not really there with them. I've had people say to me, "Oh, I used your name." Like, what, whatever makes you feel better. I don't know how
Yeah.
much can actually
Yeah.
help you, but maybe it helps your mindset, you know. And again, that's what look, Wayne.
Wait, nope. Age has nothing to do with it. Run away. Same as so we
Relax.
laughed.
I know.
Oh, I think
Okay.
you're much tougher. I know I feel safe when we've gone, like we've worked together and Wayne's there and I feel very safe. In fact, we were at one house and I'm not going to tell you this story, but um, I'll just say that she did not refuse communion and I was grateful. But I just kind of stood because Wayne's very tall and I'm short. And I just kind of stood behind him and like peeked around like a child around their mother's apron. I was just kind of like
It's
this
like
because it was the first time. And I was like, oh my
I know.
God. And he's like, you're okay. Yeah.
I know. It's all
Oh
good. It's all
my.
good.
Oh, I can't laugh anymore. Ardua says, an entity killed off most of my family. I am so sorry.
You should email us and we can help you with that attachment if you're interested. We just do
If
this
it's
stuff
still
for
there,
free.
yeah.
It's still there. If it's still there, we can help you. So please feel free. And I'll say the email at the end of the show.
Yeah. Sorry,
Um
my family's making a lot of damn noise tonight.
No, never been scared at the Angel Inn. I've investigated it many times. In fact, they gave me carte blanche. I have filmed shows there. I've been treated like royalty when
Tell us
going
what it's
there.
like. What is the Angel Inn, Michelle?
Well, the Angel Inn is in Niagara on the Lake, and
Okay.
it really is one of the original buildings that the Americans never burned down the first time in the 1700s.
Okay.
But it was like the old watering hole, a place just to put the horses. And there's a legend of Captain Swayze, and there's this whole story with him, even though some of the historians will tell you it really was never a thing. But there's definitely a lot of activity there. Um, Never any fear, though. I mean, most of Niagara on the Lake in Ontario, Canada, is haunted. They call it the most haunted town in Canada.
What about that
So,
ship that's banked there on the lake coming up that way?
Amelia,
So I was a meat shield for you, eh?
pretty much.
Pretty much, Wayne. But you're more than that now. um, but yeah, I felt safe. Is what I was trying to say. I felt
Yeah.
protected and safe. I wasn't afraid. Like I had anxiety going there because it
Mhm.
was all new to me,
Mhm.
But I always feel safe when I'm with you guys, though.
Mhm. Yeah, well, you have every reason to feel safe. You know what? There's just been I can tell you one story because I see Tyler still mentioning the Angel Inn. We
Yeah.
filmed a TV show there, and my daughter filmed with me because it was geared more to kids. I get asked to do kids things a lot, so this was with the owners and the managers, and you know she got to interview everybody. But she's very empathic. She's also very, very gifted. And at one point, there's a story that says in the basement that Captain Swayze hid in these big wooden barrels of beer, or you know, they had all kinds of different things in them. And he
Hmm.
was bayoneted several times in the chest before he was shot because he went back to look for his love, and that's the story. Now, my
Oh.
daughter, at one point, we're filming, and she looks at me, and she's on her knees. She doesn't know the story. She's
Hmm.
on her knees holding onto her chest, and she goes, I'm being stabbed from here to here. I have sharp
Oh
pains,
my gosh.
really
Yeah.
feeling it. So there's that research in me going, what? And then there's a mother in me going,
Yeah.
hi, you know, I have to chase this off and stop
Yeah.
this event, you know, from occurring. So whether the historians agree, disagree, I don't know, but something happened. Again, is it something that is a story that's been passed on so people believe it to the point where it's an event that now occurs, or are the historians wrong, or there's just a lot of mixed
Excuse
stuff
me.
with
Yeah.
that, you know what I mean? So okay, go ahead, Amelia, this one's yours.
Yeah. Excuse me. Sorry. Tickle in my throat. The New Boston Inn has activity almost every time I visit, built with the Kingswood. A murder and a hanging took place there. Great personal experiences. I have to check that out.
There we
Put that
go.
on my list.
Yeah,
Thank
there we
you,
go.
Adrian. Yep.
So before we close off, everybody's got their favorite places again to go. And I mean, I don't know if we're gonna have the opportunity to do another Q&A before Halloween or not. I hope so. I want to try to see maybe if we could do like a bonus pre-record or do something, you know, for it, because we have so many good guests coming on and such. I really don't know how that's going to work out, but everybody has their own favorite places they want to go. And Gettysburg is a big one, super haunted battlefields. I mean, people can go on and on and on. You know, there's a lot of, you know, for me, one of my favorite places, and I've been to places all over the world. I have to stay in haunted places when I travel. I love to visit haunted locations, you know, hence again, the haunted forest. I had great experiences when I was in Bran, great experiences when I was in France. You know, there's just stuff, Egypt. I mean, I've had phenomenal, and I don't just go to investigate. I mean, but I just like being among them. So I purposely stay at places like that. But if you're going to, you know, sort of pick your favorite haunt, shall we say, for the you know, for your experience, this is going to be like the place to go to for Halloween. Please remember, guys, just ground your energy. Go in there with a really strong, positive mindset, because if you're going in and, you know, being all negative and, you know, making demands, this is a real funny one for me. I don't understand. I think if I had some, you know, spirit researcher, ghost researcher say to me, I demand you to do this, I'd throw something at you and cuff you upside the head.
Pretty much.
You know, like,
Yeah.
if you're dealing with human spirits, these are people. They're not going to be any different
in
in the
their own
afterlife than they were
environment.
in life.
Yeah.
Right?
In their own home, in their own environment.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, and if you're dealing with something non-human, then you're just an idiot.
Oh, that is just that
is just being a dumbass.
ballsy.
I'm sorry,
Yeah, that
but
is just
I've seen
ballsy.
people do things. I go in with a healthy respect. I might get a little bit, nobody wants to talk to you, but I don't say, hi, you know, I don't go in there pushing my weight around. I can defend my own space if I want to. I
Yeah.
don't go sitting there and saying, I demand you to do this and you're going to do this and blah, 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 blah. Like, especially in somebody else's space.
No.
When you leave, you're taking two risks. One, it's coming home with you because you've challenged it.
Been there.
And that should be
I
exciting.
haven't challenged it, but it's been home with me.
No, but I'm
Yeah.
just saying that
Yeah.
they take these challenges, non-human entities take these challenges pretty seriously. Human
Yeah.
spirits are grounded for a reason, to a location or a thing or a person,
Yeah.
and they're a little bit different and more habitual, you know, but you're also taking a chance that you are leaving this location in a worse state than you left it. And that's not cool.
No.
That's
Even
not
if
cool
you think
either.
you're doing good, you could be doing harm. So, yeah. Jessica, I stay away. LOL. Won't be doing any of that.
Yeah,
No,
but
I
you
can
have backup.
guarantee you. I can guarantee you
You
she
have
won't.
backup.
No,
Amelia
she's
and I.
lived in a haunted house and haunted locations.
Oh my
It
goodness.
was Jessica who had the airplane flight crash behind her that I had to get the manifest for. Yeah, I had some crazy experience and feels at St. Anne's Spa, me and my mom. Yeah, I got the text. I got the text when it was happening. I'm like, you're where?
I know.
Yeah. So anyway,
See, sometimes it happens quite innocently. Sometimes you're just like a spirit magnet. It's that simple. You know, sometimes spirits are just attracted to someone's light.
Well, she was in a haunted spa.
Yeah.
That's why.
But
And
even going anywhere, you just you're just that light that they look to. They think you can help them.
Yeah. There was a question as where Angel's in. I guess she didn't hear it.
Oh,
It's in
Niagara on the
Niagara.
Lake.
Yeah.
Yeah, Niagara on the
And
Lake.
that's where Jessica was.
Yeah, there we go.
It's a
Most
very
haunted
haunted
town
area.
in Canada, Jessica, and that's where you are.
Yeah, and you stayed there
Mm.
for the weekend. Without knowing.
Mhm.
And for those of you who love the film The Dead Zone, it was actually filmed in Niagara on the Lake in
That's right.
Canada.
Mhm.
Steve King, he loves Niagara on the Lake, just saying.
Right.
You can have a shopping experience and walk through those shops, which are so pretty, and some of them are just so way back in time on the outside, so beautiful. And I can guarantee you that on the sidewalk, you will feel like you're walking through spirits at times. That's how
Mm.
I felt. And I felt like I was walking through spider webs when I was
Right.
walking on the sidewalk. My daughter was really small. We went there for a picnic right at the top where they film Dead Zone from, and you look out into the lake, and that's
Mm.
where we had our picnic. And then we walked and we went to a splash pad, and yeah, I brought my kid there, but we were safe. And a lot of people bring their kids there. But
Yeah.
it really is very, very lovely there. It's beautiful.
Mhm. It is very haunted. You could see things at any
Yeah.
given time. I know I filmed lots of locations here at Niagara on the Lake, did lots of filming there, had some amazing experiences. I have to tell you, one of the most impressive experiences I had was filming a little project, which was a lot of fun. I did it with a friend at the time, and we were at a ranch, and this
Mhm.
ranch was unbelievably haunted. Unbelievably haunted. I mean, not in Niagara Lake. This is just in Niagara area. And the horses there, one specifically, really smart horse. And anybody who tells me that animals aren't smart, this horse would see things. And I remember having a conversation with the horse. This is how smart the horse was. I'd look at him and I said, do you see something out there? Because I knew the arena which they would run these horses was haunted. And this freaking horse puts its one leg down, goes down like this, and goes twice. I'm like, did you just seriously nod at me with this question? I
Mhm.
started asking random questions to this horse, and then it would go like this for no, and it would go like this again for yes. So we did one part of the filming that we did was I guess we used the portal. It's like the ghost box sort of an idea.
Yeah.
The horse, things were coming through. The horse was behind in the stall, and it's freaking out. Like I'm
Oh, poor
just going like
thing.
it
Poor
was
thing.
terrible. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I eventually went in and cleared that.
Come
Like
on,
I
they
mean,
feel storms coming.
upon
Imagine.
almost upon completion of film, literally
Yeah.
within a few days.
When it's called The Exorcism of Emily Rose, but Annalise Michelle was going through the worst of her possession. The horses went nuts in the stable and left the farm that night. And that
Yeah.
was when they lost her. They were trying to
Mhm.
exorcise the demons, which were many
Yes.
from her. And she ran to the barn, and they just freaked out and they went nuts. That is a true part of the story. I
Mhm.
know that a lot of people say, well, that story is fabricated for Hollywood, but there is a lot of factual evidence in that story, because
Mhm.
that story is not just about her possession. Emily
Mhm.
Rose is based on the court case and what the priests and the people that were trying to help her went through
Yeah.
for the way that ended up. So
Mhm.
it's not so focused on the horror as it is the court drama
Right.
and the real life facts that happen. And you have to remember that that story came from the attorney that was defending the family, who
Mhm.
shared it with a
Right.
friend who was an author.
Right.
So that's fact.
Right. We have time for one more question. Here it is.
Okay. Adrian asks, when spirits ask for help via EVP or Ouija, the rule is don't oblige. Probably a trickster. Do you agree?
Boy, that's a tough call because it's not always a trickster. When Ouija boards, I remember somebody really gifted saying to me one time, anything that comes through a board is usually something that needs help. And if it needs help, maybe it shouldn't be communicating with you. And I took that really seriously. But again, you have to use judgment because spirits will sometimes try anything to get help. EVPs, again, I've had a lot of amazing human spirit interaction with EVPs. The problem is anytime you use, whether, like I said, it's a phone app, a voice recorder, a Ouija board, a pendulum, a spirit board, there's this all kinds of communication devices, ghost boxes, you are in a way making an invitation because you're asking to communicate. And if you do not know for sure what you are communicating with, you are potentially inviting something you would not normally want to invite into your home. And that's a chance that a lot of people take.
Absolutely. Every time that you make that.
Yeah. Good night, Lisa.
That request. Happy
Yeah.
birthday and enjoy the rest of your night, Lisa. Thank you for joining us on your birthday.
Yes. Yes. So, guys, this is it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. You guys
Oh,
are
thank you, Bella.
so
Love
darlings.
you. You're sleeping. You can text me if you can't sleep. Oh, Zach, thank you.
Yes. Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
Zach, it
Yes.
was
Thank you,
legion.
Ken.
It was legion for that
That's right.
statement for yeah,
Yes.
that was now I want to watch the movie. Everybody wants to go to sleep. Thank you, Samantha. Mwah. Everybody wants to go to sleep. And I want to watch Emily Rose. Okay. You know it's October.
You do.
See
'Tis the
you
spirit.
tomorrow, Tamara.
Yes,
Thank
tomorrow.
you.
So we'll blurt that off
Pendulum's the
before
same,
we go
Joanne.
through the whole spiel.
Yeah.
We've got the Syracusas, Phil and Julia Syracusa, coming on tomorrow evening, and they are hosts here on the network as well. They have a show on Monday nights called The Horsefly Chronicles. They lived in a really severely haunted house, and they're going to talk about that. So definitely chime in for that. It's going to be super interesting.
Great
But
family.
for now, of course, we are at the end of another fantastic segment. God, you guys just make this so much more fun. Yeah, I love it when the chat rooms light up. It's always great. So get home to the who's that sound like?
Okay, Joanne. Yeah.
But anyway,
Yoga breathing, yoga breathing.
right here. So thank you all for tuning in. Big thank you to Folgers Coffee, who sponsors the show. Big thank you to Justin Snicker, aka Dr. Snick, the Sonic Surgeon. Please remember, subscribe, like, follow wherever you are watching the show. Please show us some support. We really appreciate it. We need it, and we, as you can see, we do bring you the absolute best that we can. Now, for anyone who needs to get a hold of us, please not Messenger, please not social media. I can't, we can't. It's just crazy. The Outer Realm Contact at gmail.com. The Outer Realm Contact at gmail.com. Nice and easy. Please just email. And it's going to be a lot easier for us at that point to get back to you. As you can see, we do read them. We do get behind, but it would be a whole lot worse if it was on social media. So once again, thank you, guys. We will see you tomorrow night in chat. You guys make it that much better. So thank you. Good night. We love you. Take care of yourselves. Until